Welcome back. My guest is the presidential candidate of the Allied Congress Party of Nigeria, Mrs. Obiageli Ezekwesili, and we're looking at the chances of the female presidential aspirants in the election next month. Now, before the break, we're talking about party popularity. I'd like to put you on the spot now and ask you a direct question. If you were running on a platform of either the APC or the PDP, do you think your chances would be greater than it is now?
Perhaps my chances would be greater, but you know what? I wouldn't run on any of them, on any of their platforms, because the structure of those parties are configured to only enable governance failure. I have said to Nigerians that I am not in politics to become a president so that I would enjoy the office of the president. No. I am running in politics because Nigeria is in a dire strait. We need to rescue our country. If we have to rescue our country, I don't want to be part of an architecture or a framework that would definitely lead to the same set of outcomes. It was Einstein that said that the momentum that created the problem cannot be the same momentum that will solve it. That's what APC and PDP represent. So I understand your question, which is that name recognition of ACPN is not the same thing as the recognition of APC, PDP. But hey, we are running for this election not as a mere political party. We're running as the party that represents the absolute dissatisfaction of the Nigerian people with the status quo.
Now, you just flagged off your campaign, which just a little over a month before the actual election. And I've heard some people say, because you flagged it off in Abuja and you've just come back from an outreach in Abuja, some persons have said it's not as strategic as it appears to, some people say you've centralized your campaign to be just in Abuja. What do you say to that?
No. So the flag off of that campaign is the flag off of the traditional component of that campaign. This campaign has been on because there is a digital component of the campaign. The digital component of the campaign reaches far wider, as a matter of fact, than the traditional meeting of the people, part of it that we flagged off in Abuja on Monday. And then the second part of my answer to your question is that what you've just seen is our deepening the roots so that nationally, through the media, we can amplify the message of the kind of strategy that we have. It is not the strategy of inviting large crowds to the stadium and just talking at them. It is a different strategy where we're actually connecting with the people, because our flagship program when we get into office is to work with citizens and lift 80 million out of poverty. There is nothing that we miss at all in not being APC or PDP.
Oh, very well then. Now let's look at something that has been quite recurrent over the years with the female presidential candidates. We've only had one female presidential candidate that has lost the election and come back again to recontest. If you lose, would you try again?
I am not going to lose, but
conditional statement if.
But I wanted to still let you know that I am not running to lose. I am running to win the election, because my winning the election is Nigerian people winning the elections. I am not running for politicians. I'm not running for the political class. I'm running for the Nigerian people.
If you lose.
And so when I go into this election, I go with a winner's mind. Should there be anything like a loss, definitely I have put my hand to this. We must fix Nigerian politics. We must fix it.
So you will contest
urgent.
Again if you do.
I will keep at this.
You've been very vocal about the reactions or non-reactions of the president to the killings and kidnappings across the country. And he has a military background. You've also spoken of how you can handle the situation if you become president. You have no military background. How do you plan to do that?
What has the military background of our president done for, like Nigerians
That's why I give that comparison.
that Nigerians would say, now who military background help? Has it helped us, unfortunately? Look at the number of Nigerians that we have lost. I was looking at some data on lives that have been lost to the herdsmen crisis for just a period of this year. 1,800 and something lives lost. We have a former military general in office. It tells you something. Leadership is not the same thing as a title. I would be an effective commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria. How would I do this? I would bring to bear my capacity to manage and to lead troops. And you know what? I am one who assembles the best of competent people who can think through complex situations and solve them. I would lead the military.
We're almost out of time now, but then the electoral umpire, you spoke boldly against the appointment of Amina Zakari. That was before the president, and the presidency, INEC, and herself denied any relationship with the president. Hearing that, do you still maintain your position?
Oh, it's a shame they're lying. It's a shame they're lying. They know that the president's sister was married to Amina Zakari's father. So there is definitely a strong relationship. I am not part of the party that talked about blood relations and relationship. I know there is no blood relationship, but I know that there is such proximate relationship, and that relationship used to be thrown around until it became a problem. I just do not think that this society should continue to play games with the issues of integrity.
But does it hold water that
does.
INEC has said that she will not be directly involved in
She shouldn't be at all involved in any task that concerns the conduct of the 2019 elections. She's an interested party to the extent that, because, I mean, in the global definition of conflict of interest violation, I was one of those in Transparency International, of which I am a co-founder, that defined the framework on conflict of interest. So there is a conflict of interest violation.
Does this affect your confidence in INEC? Are you confident?
It actually does. It actually does. And what I believe that should happen is that if we want the highest level of electoral integrity, Amina Zakari, who is a professional in her own right, she should continue to be a commissioner, but don't put her in the conduct of 2019 elections.
But keeping that aside, do you have confidence in INEC's ability to conduct a free, fair, and credible election?
Actually, I think that INEC is competent. I actually have great respect for Professor Mahmood, and the team that he's working with. However, I believe that they are hampered by quite a lot. And one of the things that I worry about is the role that the security establishment is going to be playing in the elections. They sometimes arrogate to themselves certain powers that they should not have in a democracy, thereby creating what I call a civilian coup against our democracy. I also worry about the fact that the president refused to assent to the Electoral Amendment Bill 2018. Therefore, what INEC is going to rely on is, of course, the provision in its act that says that any of its guidelines is the equivalence of a law, of a provision within the act. So I look at that and I see a presidency that's determined to derail the 2019 elections. And I worry about the games that this presidency intends to play. But we're going to checkmate them because the citizens of this country cannot afford a destabilization of our democracy.
Our time's up now, but I need to ask you this. INEC has said that there will be no electronic transmission of results. Does that bother you?
Of course, it should bother you. That's why that amendment was necessary. It was necessary for that act to have been, for the bill to have been passed, to have been assented to by the president.
Mrs. Ezekwesili, I'd like to say thank you so much for honoring our invitation to come and hard copy.
Make sure you vote.
Thank you. I will, and I'm sure that you will too. Well, that's hard copy for tonight. I'd like to say thank you. Remember that our email address and social media handles are displayed on the screen for your feedback. Also, go to our webpage, channelstv.com, click on playlist and scroll to hard copy to catch this and all past episodes. Thank you so much for watching. I am Terry Ikumi. Bye for now.